Either way, talking about my guys, I pretty much had the worst day of my life because my goat, the guy I grew up watching, right, ever since I got into football, there's been one man on the Bucs, right? Love Doug Martin as a kid. He eventually went it, a different team. Love Jameis Winston. He eventually went to a different team. Love Vincent Jackson. R.I.P. Vincent Jackson. Right? But there's always been one guy. Actually, a few guys, but one of the few guys, which is Mike Evans. Watching him all my life, and now as you guys can see here, that's my goat hanging up. Yeah, he's no longer in the Bucs, so that's awesome sauce. And you know what? There's one man for this, and it's pretty obvious. Todd Balls. Todd Balls is doo doo buns. He's doo doo buns. He's the reason Mike is gone. All right, listen, bro. This is what Buck said. It's like, do we want one of the greatest receivers of all time, or a head coach that couldn't even take us into the playoffs with the losing, record, with the worst division in the league? Let's keep that coach. All right, so I'm sick of him. I gave up on the Bucs. Now listen, I know most fans are going to be haters. They'd be like, "Oh, we hate Mike Evans now." I'm not going to be like that. I'm going to support Mike Evans actually on 49ers. If you hate on him as a Bucs fan, you're not a Bucs fan. Let the man go. I mean, I feel bad for him. Look at all the QBs he had in his career. His only good QB was, Tom Brady and Baker, but he had to stick with Jameis and Mike Glennon and Josh Freeman. So listen, hopefully his last 3 years in 49ers, he has fun. I will be rooting for 49ers and Bucs to win the Super Bowl the next 3 years because I want my guy Mike Evans to get another ring. Listen, that's my second team now until Mike retires. Obviously, Bucs will always be my number one, but you know what? Now I'm not going to be a 49ers hater. I hope he shines over there. I hope he does his thing. That does suck for us. Unfortunate. But again, I'm not mad at him. I'm more mad at our coaching and our GM. I don't know what we're doing. I don't know how you don't keep Mike Evans. I mean, 2 years ago, he just tied Jerry Rice's record, but all right. I guess we'll let him go. That makes logical sense there. But that's great head coaching right there and GM right there. Um, so yeah, screw me. I don't know if you had any thoughts on the Mike Evans thing, but I just hate my life. I'm
Yeah, well, I
depressed.
know Bucks fans are not happy at all with this news. I mean, it's when you have a staple that, the team that's a player that's been there the whole time that you used to seeing. It's always tough when they leave. And, we were talking about this, and I thought a lot of it, what his decision sort of told me what he thought about the Bucks, and if he felt like they were going to be contenders and that they really had a good chance, and he liked, what he saw with the coaching and the game plan, whatever going into it, I think, I'm not sure he would just been looking for money. And so for me, I think this is a sign that, he felt that he would have a better opportunity with a team like the 49ers. And I think he feels, you know, maybe it's a combination of things. Things are just not clicking. Or too many, other receivers in the mix. But I don't, I don't think it's just that. I do believe he thought he had a better opportunity. And maybe it's a business side too. It makes, Bucks weren't willing to pay him the money that, another team would, and the 49ers. But I do believe, like you said, he is probably walking into a 49ers team who really did really well after all the injuries they had last season,
Yeah.
that everyone kept trying to write them off, and they still, performed really well. So if they get back to being healthy, and have a Mike Evans type receiver, Brock Purdy's going to, excel with that. He's done a lot with some receivers have done a lot less. So, I think Mike wants to get back to that 1,000 yards, wrap up, some more seasons with that. Like you said, it is disappointing for, anybody with the Bucks. And it's going to be weird watching them have a 49ers outfit on in a uniform and helmet. It's not going to be the same, for sure.
No, it will not. But you know what I will say? That is unstoppable offense right there. From CMC to George Kittle to Mike Evans to Brock Purdy.
Hmm.
Hey, listen. And also, Brock Purdy might get some more love in fantasy next season now.
Yeah, well,
That's all I'm
that's
saying.
one of these things that we definitely don't want to forget about when we talk about these is how this is how it affects fantasy values
Yep.
for all these players. And, obviously, the quarterbacks, the running backs, the receivers, how they complement each other. And you're right. I think this also gives, Brock Purdy another weapon and another weapon that gives him higher value in fantasy. And of course, like when you look at the Bucks, it'll be interesting who's going to be the main receivers. Is Abuka going to really step up this year and take
Yep.
over the mantle, or Godwin? And does this help their fantasy values? Very well. Obviously, when a player leaves, now things are not done yet, so we don't know completely, until they finish picking up players or draft, so on. But, at this point in time, I agree with you. I think Evans does help Brock Purdy's value,
Yeah.
and it does help the team over there. And, Amika and stuff now, because that's one of the things we talked about with Amika and Godwin is, what are they going to do fancy wise when, all of them are there? So now Mike's not going to be there. They may step up in value too,
Honestly,
depending.
I think next fantasy season that's going to be one of the hardest decisions. Who was Bucks number one, Chris or
Mm,
Amika? Because you should say Chris, right? Just from all his years in the past and what he can do. But then you have the downside of his injuries. Chris Godwin is very injury prone.
yeah.
But and Mika Buka is the young guy, but as we've seen, he also had that fall off second half of the season. So I'm curious next year to see who gets drafted higher. And you know what? As much as I'm a Bucks fan, I hope that doesn't come to me. Like I hope they both get drafted before they get to me, so I don't have to make that choice. Because good God, I don't know who I'm gonna choose there. Because I just have no idea. But yeah, that's gonna be interesting. Bucks receiver room and 49ers receiver room too.
Yeah, it's
Both
tough too
ways.
because they don't play a lot in preseason, so that's about the time we used to take a look to see, who are they favoring, and of course, the starting quarterback doesn't play a lot, so we won't know until the season starts, who really, they lean on uh, for the first couple games on it. I mean, my guess is I think they're going to try to push toward Amika. He's the younger
Yeah.
one, but do they lean on the experience of Godwin, and is he fully healthy and, ready to go? It'd be interesting.